All right. In this lesson, we're going to start with creating that model. This will be the first of several videos creating the model. With these videos, I'm going to, it may look like there's a lot of them, but I'm going to try to keep these to 6 to 10 minutes, so it's not just one or two long 50-minute videos. One, I think it'll be easier to watch, and two, if you need to go back and search for material, it'll be a lot easier to hopefully hone in on what you're actually looking for. So, like we did before, we're going to start here. We're going to go to File, we're going to go to New, and we can use our template that we made. We'll use a metric template again. Say OK. And we want to go to Sketch. And we're going to choose, like we said before, the top plane. And I can choose it that way. The other way I can do this, and I'm going to X out of here. I'll say discard changes and exit. You don't have to do this. But I can also go over here to the left, and I can go to my top plane, and I can right click, and I can do sketch here. And that's the other way that I can initiate a sketch on my chosen plane. So we want to create that base rectangle of the part. And you can see up here in my sketch tools, I've got one that says rectangle. I've got, and then underneath that sketch tool, I've got some different options. And so for this one, we're going to use corner rectangle. And so I'm going to come back to that. But I've also got different options, and maybe I want to start with the center. Basically, what's going to happen is it's going to be where it lines up with the origin. And so for my center rectangle, you can see that that's the center of it, and I can drag it, and it's going to change based on that. And so we just select that with the drop down. So 3-point center, again, it's just that's how we would specify different points, or parallelogram, where it's still kind of a rectangle, but it's a little bit different shape. So we're going to use a corner rectangle, and we're still going to start at the origin, but now I'm going to click once with my left button, and I'm going to drag it out, and then I'm going to click again. And there is my basic shape. It's already connected, or I should say closed. And so you can see the center is grayed out. And we're going to go ahead right away, and we're going to enter our smart dimensions. And it's going to be 40 millimeters by 125. And so there's my basic shape. You can see all the lines are black. Down here it says fully defined. And so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to click my green check mark. And now I'm ready for the next step. Okay, so that sketch is done. Let's go ahead and extrude this sketch. So I'm going to go to Features. And we're going to extrude this like we did before. It's already pointed upwards. It's blind, which means it's only going in one direction, and it's going to end at the thickness that we give it. And just coincidentally, this doesn't always happen, but it is at 10 millimeters. That is the thickness that we want. So we have the option of some end conditions, and I can change the direction that it's extruded. We talked about some of these different options that we have, but I can also put draft on it if I was making a mold of some kind, and I just click this, and I added 10 degrees of draft, and now you can see how it is basically getting smaller towards the top. It's putting an angle or a draft on all sides of that. And so we're not going to use that, but it's just, or I could change it and draft the other way. We're not going to use that, again, just showing. So everything's how we want it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the green check mark. So you can see here it says our Boss Extrude 1. That's our first feature. What I like to do and what the book recommends is I like to go in and I like to edit these. And what it does, especially if you have a complex part with many features, and you'll see that as we get into more complicated parts, is it's very easy to lose track of what feature is what. And so I'm going to just change this to our base plate. And so now that is what we are going to build off of. Okay, let's next draw the vertical boss. So how we integrate that into the base that we already have is we can click on a surface and we can sketch on that surface, and then when we extrude it, it'll automatically be integrated into that surface, or we could set it apart. But so we're going to click on this front surface here, and when you do, we can do this in two different ways. I'm going to click on that, and then here I'm going to select sketch. The other way I can do it is I can right click and I can select sketch. And so what happens is when we initiate this new sketch, it's going to turn normal to you so we can see it, and we're basically looking straight at it. We're going to use, and if you look at the book and what it looks like, is it's basically, we're going to have two parallel vertical lines, and those two lines are going to be connected with a semicircle. And the command that we're going to use is tangent arc, which means the arc is going to be tangent or connected to those vertical lines. SolidWorks has kind of a shortcut where we're going to remain in the line mode, but then there's a way to go into tangent arc and then back out of the back into the line mode. And so let's go ahead and we're going to click line. And again, I've got some options here. We've got line, center point, or center line, or midpoint. We're just going to use regular line. And we're just going to come over here anywhere along this length, and I'm going to pick this bottom line. I'm going to left click. And I clicked on that bottom line, and then I'm just going to come up vertically, and you can see my vertical symbol there when I'm somewhat straight up and down. I want to retain that, so I'm just going to come up here somewhere. I'm going to click, and now I can either make another line, but now if I reverse my direction and then go back up to the end of that line, you can see now it put it in tangent arc mode. And so I'm going to bring this around, and I'm going to look for my inference line that lets me know when I'm straight across from where the arc started, and I'm going to click, and now I'm back in the line mode. And then I'm going to come back down here to the bottom line. I want to make sure that I'm vertical. And you can see there I'm vertical and coincident, and meaning that I'm coincident with that bottom line. So I'm going to click, and then I'm going to come over to back where I started, and I'm going to click again. And you can see that my shape filled in, so we completed that. Shape. Close the shape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put some dimensions on it so we can make sure that it's placed, one, that it's the right size, and that it's located on that base plate where we want it. So we're going to go to Smart Dimension. Let's green check. And then we're going to go to Smart Dimension. And the first thing we'll dimension this radius. So I'm clicking on this line. I'm just coming out. And we want a radius of 20. And you can see that it also widen the lines to match that radius. Next, we're going to be dimensioning from this left edge here. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to do the center of that arc to this edge here. And we're going to put that at 50 millimeters. And you can see the whole thing move over. The last thing we need to do is we need to give this a height. And so we're going to go from the origin, or this bottom line, up to this height. You can see it kind of angled there, but if I just drag this back down, or I could right click on it, that would hold that. We're going to come out here, and that height is going to be 35. Last thing we'll do is we'll extrude this. And so I'm going to go up to Features, Extrude, and it's extruding out. I want to extrude it in, and so we're going to reverse this. So that looks right. We want this at 10 millimeters like it is the default. And then here it's saying merge result. We want this piece merged in with our base plate, which we do. And so we're going to click OK. I'm going to slowly click on this to edit it, and I'm going to call this a vertical boss. That'll end this video, and we will continue the lesson in the next one.